And it's mine, so I'm not sometimes very good at reading, so don't make fun of me.
Good thing there's not a lot to read.
I can multitask. But sometimes I mispronounce things and skip words.
Okay.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, 15 seconds to go.
Let's roll. Welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode 151 for April 8th, 2019. I'm Sam Wooddell of SamRyan Designs, and today I'm joined by my co-host Jeremy Crawford from Countryside Workshop, True Short from Rock-n H Woodshop, and our guests Whitney and Ashley from Shanty to Chic. What's up, guys?
Hey. Why did Jeremy get top billing?
I know, because Jeremy writes it. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Because I do a lot of copy and paste, and I copy and paste whoever's name. I just swap whoever's recording the show. So
there you go. This is our fast and quick episode, so I just want to jump into our amazing supporters. We would like to thank John Ramminger, Sean McHenry, Carl Mose, Neil Sims, Eric Rhoten, Earl from Rustic and Kenneth Aponte.
Aponte.
I am so sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
I would say it's Aponte.
Yeah.
What did Drew say it was?
I think Aponte.
Aponte, yeah.
Good job, guys.
Or Aponte.
Yeah. If you want to become a patron to our Patreon campaign, then head over to patreon.com/woodshop101. All of our patrons receive an after show twice a month as a benefit. You can also support the show by purchasing some podcast swag at countrysideworkshop.com/shop. While you are at it, go leave us a 5-star rating on the podcast player of your choice. Also, we kind of revamped our logo. I'm so excited. And we have some new apparel coming out. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So since this is the fast episode, like I just said, I'm going to go straight into our topic. We have a question sent in from one of our listeners. Hey guys, my wife and I just purchased our first home and it needs a little bit of work. I've never been much of a handyman. My career is in IT, but I would love to learn to DIY as much as I can. I started with woodworking. I have hardly any prior experience at all, but I have time and I feel like I can learn to do anything. I started researching recently about tools needed for woodworking and I've read a lot of material. That's how I found your podcast and I just recently started listening today. My first step is to acquire my arsenal of tools. There's a whole lot of information out there, but I don't know who to trust. I was hoping you guys could point me in the right direction on what tools to start with and maybe which brands. Maybe you have a video podcast episode that goes over this. I'd be disappointed to spend hundreds of dollars on tools that won't last long. Thanks so much in advance, Anthony LaBelle. Hopefully I said that right, too. But that was an awesome question. All right, I like talking about what tools you should get.
Yeah,
So
I definitely, I responded to him through email because we did get this several weeks ago. I think my first piece of advice to him, like, go start an Instagram right away so you can document like your entire process because there's other people out there that have this question. There's other people that are going to be starting. And you could be a good resource for them. And then I told them to definitely listen out because we were going to throw this on because I felt like it was a good question, especially to have you two on to kind of give some insight because I know we all probably use a little bit different brands and we've probably all started a little bit different places and with different tools. So what do you got? Sam?
What do I got?
Yeah, what's your first boiling piece of advice?
So my advice would be if you're going to think, well, if it's a hobby, like maybe make sure you like it first before you put in hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of, tools but if you like it, I'm not saying that you need the best tools to be a builder or a woodworker, but I will say a nice table saw because you can do so many things on a table saw if you can fit it. I recommend getting a larger cabinet saw or watching like Drew's and building something like that for yourself to to me, that is something that we use on the regular. It's super accurate. I don't have to worry about like my cuts being off. And you can do so much. So, you know, a miter saw limits you, and then, you know, you don't, a joiner, if you continue in that route, you can get a joiner, planer, bandsaw, stuff like that. So mine would be first a table saw. That's me. Or a circular saw. A circular saw, a track saw.
You gotta stop.
But a table saw. Table saw is number one.
Just get those and you'll be set.
Yeah, wait, you just listed your entire shop, Sam.
I know, because it's so hard.
It is hard.
People.
It is hard. We always say, like, it's probably our top question is like, what tools should I start with? And Ashley and I cater to beginners, because anyway, I would say our top 3 tools that we would recommend are a drill, a miter saw, and a Craig jig. Those are our top 3. I don't think it matters what drill you get. I don't think it matters what miter saw you get, as long as they work. So I'm always like a review junkie. And then there's like a price range for everything. So you get what you pay for. You know, if you buy a more expensive miter saw with a greater blade, a bigger blade, you're going to get, you know, a longer cut. But we always say that those 3 tools, at least from our website, Ashley, how many plans do you think would that build? Those 3 tools by themselves?
At least half of our plans, probably. We have a lot of 3-tool projects. Like now,
right. I mean, and obviously and that's not going to make like probably a table that you would go sell, because you'd still want to sand it and do other things. But for somebody that's just starting out to get your feet wet, those are our top 3 tools that we always recommend.
Yeah. I
definitely think it depends on like what route you like. If he thinks he wants to get more into fine, or like what, you know, where you're going to go, if you are going to build, you know, if you're going to sell things, like you just said, if you're going to sell something, and what lumber you're going to work with. So I think that is another, like the main thing. If you're going to work with strictly pine and that's already dimensioned and ready to go for you, or you want to go get some rough stuff and mill it up yourself. So, I mean,
I too think so that like starting though, that's like the kicker. Yeah. Because, and it was like very eye-opening at Workbench Con, because like Designs by Donnie, great example. Or he's a bad example because he didn't start with us. But we had like 2 or 3 guys that came and showed us. They're like, hey, we started on your site. We didn't even know how to build. But then they showed us what they were building, and it blew our stuff out of the water. I mean, just clearly they're using tools that we don't even use, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that to me, it's all about starting. And those are 3 like inexpensive things. They get your feet wet. And then if you don't use them again, you can sell them, or you might find that you do use them again. So
exactly.
Here's another piece of advice too that I haven't really heard a lot of people offer is, if you have in your area or close to your area a maker space that has a full assortment of tools, that if you want to build a project, you'll find what kind of tools that you're going to be using a lot of. And if you notice what you're using, that is the kind of tools that you need to start gearing yourself towards, because that also helps you to determine what kind of either a carpenter or woodworker, maker, whatever you want to call it, that you're going to be. If it's going to be hobby, if it's going to be professional, if you're going to build stuff for yourself, you're going to build stuff for clients. Using that kind of makerspace will help you determine that and the tools that you're going to need. And it's all on somebody else's dollar.
Yeah. And I think to let people know that there are maker spaces around the country, because that's something we weren't aware of until about 5 years ago, that there's actually a lot of maker spaces and people don't know how to find them.
Yeah.
And there is a new like website app that rents tools. So if you don't have a maker space in your area,
Levels.
Yeah.
It's called
Levels.
It's like where you rent your prom dress. You know?
Yeah. It's called. Well, I mean, there may be more out there, but there is one called Leveled. Leveld.
That is so cool.
And it is
it's awesome.
It's like a Craigslist or what are some of those, Let Go or Offer Up, but it's specifically to rent your tools out.
I bet you have to sign lots of waivers on that.
Yeah, the guy that owns it,
I bet he has a lot of insurance policies.
Yeah. And it's, and it's not just like table saw or router. It's shovels,
lawnmowers.
It's I mean, it's
anything.
So,
that's cool. Yeah, because because I have a lot of extra tools that I now don't use, and I'm like, if I find a maker that's starting out, like I'll for sure take the drill, and I don't need that one because I use this one. But I was like, I could rent them out too. But it's really cool because even if you are a woodworker and you have extra tools laying around, you can rent them out. And like if something happens to them, they replace it or refund you your money. So it's a really cool space if you don't have a maker space in your area. So,
so both of those come with a price as well, right? So you also have to think about that. You're starting out, at least, so our maker space here is like I think it's $54 a month, which is, okay, I won't go eat out. Like we won't go eat out as a family 1 meal out of that month and I'll have it. But that $54 could potentially take away from the material that you purchase or take away from the tools that you do find that you want to purchase. I'm not discounting those at all. They're great. But we also have this huge community of other makers and woodworkers on Instagram and YouTube and everybody else. Like, reach out, find your local guilds. Like, we have a local guild that is free. We meet once a month. It's free, and any of those guys and gals there would be happy to show you around their shop or help you. And that's exactly what I talked to about on the last episode. Is I got one of my friends, like 7 houses down, like wants to build a table, and they haven't necessarily had the money to commission me to build it or somebody else, so they spent some money, got the tools, and I'm going to teach them how to do it. I'm going to spend an entire weekend, but it's I'm still getting something out of it. There'll be still some content coming from me on it, but I'm also getting to hone my skills to teach somebody else how to do those things as well. So I think looking for those other people to get started and kind of help you is a good way. But I would definitely agree with Whitney and Ashley. I think one of the first tools you start with is a miter saw. Not a little miter box with the little like an actual compound miter saw. There's a lot of people discount them, say I can get away with it. I got my table saw or I got my circular saw.
I love my table saw too. Like, I'm not discounting what she said because that would be our next one. It's just a bigger purchase that requires a bigger space.
But I do think a lot of people discount the miter saw, and I mean I got started with the miter saw. I think that was one of the first tools I purchased, and I think because it gives you some accurate cross cuts. When a circular saw doesn't always necessarily give you that accurate cross cut. Or if you have a smaller job site table saw, it's harder to get longer boards on it to give you accurate cross cuts or to do it safely. So I think that's a big one to look into. Another one is find which tool brand you like. And I think we'll go around and kind of talk a little bit about some of the brands we use or recommend. But if you have nothing, buy one of their starter packs that comes with like the drill, the impact driver, the circular saw, because those things will stick with you for a long time. In fact, just a few years ago, I got rid of my first starter pack, which was Ryobi back when they were still
navy blue. You are dating yourself.
God, I know.
Actually, that's how we started too.
So, and so I eventually gave that whole starter pack away to a friend that was getting into it and kind of learning, and he didn't have the funds to go out and buy a whole new set. Right, so I had already upgraded at that point, and had a bigger circular saw, more drills, and all that. So I gave it to him. But I think that's really start like looking at those, because it's for the initial cost. I think it's a little bit cheaper to get those tools in bulk like that. And those are your like heavy hitter first starting tools. And then you decide, okay, do I want to add that miter saw next or that table saw next? So
one thing with you saying about the makerspace, if you start using the makerspace, or find someone on Instagram and you're using their shop, which I'll add, my grandpa's in a guild and they all help each other out all the time. Like, we started welding, and there's a guy that has a ton of welding equipment, so we can just go over and use all of his cutters and bandsaws and all of that, so we don't have to purchase our own yet. But if you have someone like that, you could figure out what you like and then try and sell something or get clients and then take that money and then purchase your tools. So, I mean, it's not like you have to have it come out of your pocket. If you're doing really good and you really like it, use those makerspace to your advantage, pay that monthly fee, find a couple of clients, and make sure you put that money into buying tools for yourself.
Yeah. And the one thing with makerspaces is most of them are a membership. It's not just a membership to use the tools. It's usually a total package membership. So you can attend their classes that they have to help further along your education. And that will help, speed up the process of you learning and branching out into your own shop.
We actually learned how to do SketchUp in from a maker place.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
I remember when I stumbled across SketchUp, and it was painful trying to learn it. Many
well, it
years
was
ago.
painful paying somebody to do it and waiting for the plan. Like, we had this idea in our head, and we would show that or build that and then say, here it is, and then pay for and now I think it was money well spent, because it's a lot of work. But that was, for us, it was more painful waiting and not being able to put it on paper. Mm-hmm. So it was like something that we just had to learn,
And we'd been taught before, and we couldn't. It was like we were clueless, like worst lesson ever. But then we had to have a teacher teach us the right way, and it was so easy.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how it just kind of clicks whenever you're working with it. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I think it's learning from someone that's going to use it. Yeah. I think it's learning from someone that's going to use it the same way that you use it, because there's 2 million ways to use it. You don't necessarily need to learn how to make a 10-sided circle. Like, you're never, right? Like, you need to learn how to make a table leg. So I just think I think it's about the right teacher. So
yeah, and I definitely agree, because in school for interior design, we were taught on SketchUp for our rooms and stuff, our space plans, and that's way different than building a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
So my grandpa already knew SketchUp, and I already knew it. So he was like, okay, this is how you kind of convert it over to woodworking. So if you have the right teacher, it will snap real quick. So
that's impressive that Gramps knew SketchUp.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Really was.
He taught
He's
Sam.
so cute.
He said, Sam, let me teach you how to work this. This thing's called a computer. Let me show you how to work
do you know what this is? I know. Today I was like, in my post, he's a computer whiz. He was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are. You're bad, Grandpa. He's like, oh, okay.
He can start your Twitter.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So perfect. So since this is the short episode, we'll kind of just go around and touch on brands that we've been happy with. We all have different experiences with different stuff, and we'll start with Drew, and then we'll wrap it up.
The tools, like the starter stuff that I really liked using, and I started out with DeWalt, but unfortunately, it's a lot of money to spend, because you're paying for that yellow brand quite a bit. And I wanted something that had a lot of quality, but was a little more affordable. So I dropped down. Well, I didn't say drop down. I moved over to Porter Cable. I really like the Porter Cable line. Their drills, their impact drivers, the circular saws, even the corded circular saws. I really am impressed with their quality. So if I had a choice of those combo packs like Jeremy was talking about, I would probably choose a Porter Cable pack.
Okay. What about y'all, Whitney and Ashley?
Well, I will touch on Porter Cable. I will say that our stepdad is like a lifelong carpenter, and he loves Porter Cable. So that's something. So that's cool. But we always say, like, Craig brands, like, their tools, they're always just very, like, smart.
DIYer friendly.
Yeah.
DIYer friendly.
Yeah. So it's just, it's something that you'll have in addition to, like, other tools, like hand tools and saws and stuff. But they're just a great brand to have for they're just smart. They're, they think about stuff.
They kind of think for you. Like, the intimidation out and take the think away, and they're just
make it easier. They give you a third hand. I also love one clamps, or one clamps are awesome too. Those make me happy. So
clamps are your best friend.
And they are. Like, that's like something, that too.
You can never have too many clamps.
If you have some extra money that you don't know what to do with, go buy some clamps.
Seriously, you're going to need them.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Jeremy?
I would say probably rigid, for the pure fact of the brand's good itself. I love the rigid tools that I have, but I also look at the benefits that go on from that. Like, I don't want to get into a tool that I put through the paces and the battery dies and now I got to go spend $100 for a battery, or maybe the tool burns out. So I've really got into looking at warranty. And I think Rigid has one of the best warranties out there. They have lifetime warranty on their batteries. So when the batteries start defaulting, they don't start holding a charge. You trade them in. They'll send you new batteries. Same thing with most of all their tools have a lifetime warranty behind them. As long as you register them, and they, just like any other company, they have policies behind it. You have to register it within so many days of purchase and this and that. But that's what I look at. I think Rigid has one of the best, as far as like big box brand, the brands that you can buy in a big box store. I think Rigid has one of the best warranties behind it. I mean, if you have deep pockets and you say I can drop $100,000 on tools and not worry about it, then go Festool 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I love all my Festool stuff. But that's just usually not where most people can start.
Yeah. Right. And
I will say,
if you don't have the money, don't try a Festool.
Yeah. I will tell you.
It's like going shopping for Mercedes when all you can afford is a Ford, right?
Exactly.
So we're never going to put that in our hand.
What's wrong with
I will tell you the one place I wouldn't cut corners starting out is a random orbital sander. I don't.
Yeah.
DeWalt, Porter Cable, Rigid, Ryobi, they all make a decent one. But after an hour of sanding or 2 hours of sanding, your arm's going to feel like it's still vibrating forever. Look for, I think Bosch makes one of the best sanders. That's definitely more on the beginner side of the budget. It makes Festool quality sanders are similar in quality on the beginner side of the budget, right? You're not going to spend $500 on the Festool sander. However, if Festool does do I think it was $100 or $199. They have a starter sander. And I don't know, I would have to do some research. I don't know if they sell it all the time or if they just do it periodically, but I know for a while they were doing like pre-order of like $100 sander or $200 sander. And like, okay, I'll get behind that. Like, I'll push it because they're smoother. You're not going to feel like your arm is vibrating. And that's where a lot of people start cutting corners, is when they get into that sanding game, because they're like, oh man, I hate this. Like, this is using random orbit sander that feels like my arm's going to fall off after sanding this 8-foot dining room table for 4 or 5 hours is just horrible. So I will say, like, don't cut corners there. Buy like a Bosch or something else. If you need a secondary sander, great. Ryobi, Rigid, they all make a good sander. If you're looking for something that's not going to beat you up, I would say a Bosch.
Yeah. I'm going to end this and then we'll wrap it up, but I was going to just touch on the sanders. I started with, thankfully, a Bosch. Awesome. I will say the smaller Bosch is smaller. I mean, it's still on more expensive than like a Rigid or a Porter Cable or a Ryobi, but it does so much better. But it's the small one. But the bigger one is on the price side of like Festool. I mean, it is almost like $400.
Say their 6-inch one.
Yeah, that's what we have. And it's amazing. So I did start with that. Then I got a rigid and it was cordless and it left swirls everywhere no matter what I did. Then we got a Fez tool. So the Bosch and the Fez tool is what we use all the time. And I say save your money for one of those. And don't go the small Bosch to me. I just save the little extra for the 6. Just that's my little input. So, but we'll wrap it up now because I know you don't feel good and we're at our mark. So, no, it's not your fault. You're keeping us on track.
It's not my fault. It's my boys. They both had a cold this week. And I was like, I'm not going to get it. Joke's on me.
I know, right? But it was so much fun having you guys on here again.
Having us. We had a great time.
Having us.
Yeah, it was great.
It was so much fun. And I know I don't have the closing out. So, Drew, you can go ahead and do it.
Well, you could have led into it.
I know, but I was doing really good. I could have just done with it, but I never do it. You always do it, so it would have been weird.
Well, yeah, a little bit. It's just that's okay. Yeah. So, ladies, I know we did this over on the last show, but if anybody wants to get in contact with you, just feed us a couple of ways that they can do so.
Our social media handles are at Shanty2Chic, the number 2, CHIC. And our email address is the same thing at Gmail. And then our website is shanty2chic.com.
Very easy. And if you want to reach Jeremy, Sam, or myself, we do have respected websites that have all of our contact information. So you can go to SamRyanDesigns.com, CountrysideWorkshop.com, and RHWoodshop.com. If you want to reach the podcast itself, we do have an email that you can send. It's kickback@woodshop101podcast.com. And if you want to get in contact with us through voicemail, which you can be featured on an episode just like this one, you can call 409-234-3959 or use the voice memo app on your phone and just email it to the email address I just gave. So that about wraps it up. We thank you, ladies, very much for sharing your insight and DIY experience as well as your house flipping. That was an interesting episode to listen to.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And taking time because you guys are so busy, and have so many little kiddos, and it's bedtime. So
exactly.
Thanks so much.
So from Jeremy, Sam, Whitney, Ashley, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shops. We'll talk to you on the next podcast episode. So 1, 2, 3. Boom!